Welcome once again. This is HLN Now. I'm Mike Alanos. All right, more theories about what might have happened to missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. We know the plane, as Jay Will said, vanished 12 days ago. Here's what we know. This just into us. Nothing suspicious found in the pilot's home. Now, authorities searched the pilot and co-pilot's personal computers and email traffic. There was nothing that would indicate a change in route was pre-planned. Now, 26 nations are involved in this search, including the U.S. The search area is now about 3 million square miles, which is about the size of the continental U.S. Thailand's Air Force says it tracked an unknown object the day the plane vanished. Then the object abruptly changed directions. Now, this is the second radar evidence that the plane did turn around toward the Strait of Malacca. The New York Times reports someone in the cockpit apparently reprogrammed the computer to change the flight path. Malaysian officials still say the evidence suggests the plane was deliberately flown off course. They don't know, though, who was at the controls. CNN's Kate Baldwin has more now.
New this morning, growing suspicion around Flight 370's pilots. The New York Times citing unnamed senior American officials reporting someone in the cockpit likely programmed the missing flight's deliberate turn to the west in the cockpit computer. This person possibly typing 7 or 8 keystrokes into the system to divert the aircraft off its course to Beijing.
Someone on the plane put into the computer system that sits between the pilots a new direction for the plane to go in, and that is why the plane moved. It shows that whoever did this had some expertise in flying, and this was not just someone on the plane who grabbed the controls and moved it.
Also this morning, China is ramping up its search within its own borders, as Chinese authorities say background checks on their passengers have come back clear. No links to terrorism or hijacking. Meanwhile, Malaysian authorities under fire for an apparent discrepancy in the missing aircraft's timeline. On Monday, the CEO of the airline said the co-pilot's final words from the cockpit at 1:19 a.m., "All right, good night," could have come before or after the plane's communication systems shut off. The CEO saying the system could have shut off any time between its last transmission at 1:07 a.m. and 1:37 a.m. when it was supposed to send out another message. This clarification comes just a day after Malaysian officials said the communication system was disabled before the co-pilot's final message, prompting the investigation to shift toward the pilots. With Australia now heading up the search, the U.S. is scaling back its search, pulling out the USS Kidd and its helicopters. Instead, they're basing a P-8 aircraft in Australia to help with the search.
Thanks, Kate Baldwin there. Now, we've been discussing the prevailing theories that are out there. Was the plane hijacked? Was it a pilot suicide mission? Was there a fire in the cockpit? Now, this hour, we're going to explore these questions. Did the plane crash into the ocean? Did the plane land somewhere? And how do you hide a Boeing 777? Now, we're going to focus on the theories about the plane crashing. Did the plane crash and now it's at the bottom of the ocean? Courtney Love, she seems to think so. She used the crowdsourcing website TomNod. It's one we showed you last week, by the way, and posted her thoughts on the plane's location on Facebook. Then we have the other theory about it crashing. Could the plane have been shot down by the military, and could they now be covering it up? All that to talk about with our commercial airline pilot. Well, he's a pilot. He's a flight instructor, an attorney, and a former police officer. Philip Holloway back with us. What do you mean? And we've talked about it, but let's talk about the potential that this plane is in the ocean.
Right.
What, are you seeing that at all? Are you still saying no? I'm not seeing any evidence of that.
Well, that's true. There's not any real evidence that it is in the ocean, but by the same token, there's not any evidence that it's on the ground. I know that there's reports out this morning that Israel seems to be concerned that it might be on the ground somewhere, possibly as close as Pakistan. So we know that people in other governments are giving some credence to this idea that the plane is on the ground. But part of the problem that I've got is that the information that we have, which is all an investigation can be based on, is real, truthful evidence. Everything coming out of Malaysia is inconsistent. You know, they're telling us on one hand, okay, it's absolutely a hijacking, no question about it. There was 14 minutes between when the ACARs went off and when the transponders go off. Now they're reversing course. And you've even got the Prime Minister of Malaysia on Saturday saying one thing, and the airline's CEO saying something else as recently as yesterday and today. So there's no wonder that everybody is so confused about it, and nobody knows what to make of it.
What would, not that we're looking for fault finding when you talk about the investigation, but should it be where should more information be coming out? Less? I mean, how do you vet all that? What would be your advice to them as you look at this?
Well, I think the best agency in the world in terms of investigating air crashes or disappearances or things of this nature is the National Transportation Safety Board. And I think that everything really should be turned over to them. They should have complete and unfettered access to everything that Malaysia knows.
Got last one real quick, and this one's not a prevailing theory, but the plane shot down by the military. Wouldn't we know, wouldn't we have seen something at this?
Yes, I think we would. I think there would be a lot more evidence of that. You know, you've got the possibility of a large explosion in the sky, in the night sky, and satellite imagery and all sorts of things I think would have picked that up. I don't think that's a very plausible theory at all. The aircraft was intentionally diverted. We do know that much. The fact that it was that something called a flight management system was used and they inputted a waypoint to turn it back to the west is consistent with a pilot who is trying to get to another airport because he's in distress.
Got it. Okay, more theories coming up. Is Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 hiding in plain sight? Again, and we've talked about that one. We will some more. Two very interesting theories we're going to explore on that. One involves plane shadowing. Again, a tricky move, but we'll talk about that with Philip, our expert, and more coming up.